between Malzahar and Zyra, but the Kha'Zix comes through, so you have to imagine they're pinching the jungle a little bit here. If their Rengar ban comes through, which you would assume, or else it's first picked up by Envy.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
they could risk it because Ninja may not be that familiar with the jungle role. It is a possibility.
That's something that we did see yesterday too, by the way, for those of you who did not catch Envy versus FlyQuest yesterday, when Team Envy was on the blue side in game number 1, they banned Rengar out themselves, potentially alluding to the fact that Ninja might not be ready and capable of playing the champion. It's going to be Malzahar banned away. The prediction.
Nailed it.
Rengar's left open, but it looks like Team Envy is going to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to call the bluff, we're going to lock it in.
Yep. The Rengar, of course, you know, that could be a Seraph champion as well. Rengar is not actually bad in the top lane by any means. Very aggressive, great level 1, especially if he can get brush control. He can bully almost every tank out of the lane instantly. But I assume it goes over to Ninja for the control. Question is, how familiar is he on that champion? I know he loves assassins like Zed. And we're going to jump over the other side. You would assume it'd be something like the Ashe, possibly the Zyra here, because the Malzahar is also taken away, unless they think that Hakuho can play Misfortune into it.
And of course, one thing to go ahead and remind everybody is that in this new 10-ban system, you've got 3 phases. Well, not 3, you can see them 3 down on each side, but you've got 6 picks coming out first of all. Then you're going to go into the second banning phase. So you've only got the time to do 3 picks on your own team before your opponents get to ban out more champions. So it's very important on which roles you decide to prioritize and lock in first. And CLG, they're going to go ahead and place that priority on the AD carry and jungle positions, grabbing the Ashe and the Olaf.
Yeah, they grab the jungle quite early here, but there's already a pinch on it with Kha'Zix taken away. And you don't want to have, like, what it seems to be is the jungle, the support, and the AD carry positions are the ones that get pinched the most in the second ban phase. Top lane, there's just so many diverse things that you can play that it's very hard to actually force somebody really far down the tier list, whereas AD carries, it's like there's Jhin, there's Ashe, and then there's Varus on top of that. And then it's kind of Ezreal Twitch, and you just go down this tier list really far and like get Caitlyn, right? Whereas support, it's like Zyra, Malzahar, then Lulu is a counter, Misfortune is a counter, but those things can all be taken away with 1 picked up and 2 of them banned. You can really force where people go. So you have to pick usually the AD carry support and the jungle early.
And just as you say it, Envy's going to go ahead and go along that exact line of thought, going to pick up that bottom lane to go along with what we're assuming is the jungler they picked earlier, Varus and Zyra, those top tier picks that you mentioned, going to be locked in.
Yeah, could be the Misfortune here as well, just to make sure that they can get a good matchup into the Zyra, or else it gets banned away. And also, it's not a bad combo with the Ashe.
There it is, going to be picking that one up, having some control in the bottom lane. We've seen this duo in the bottom side a lot before, the Ashe plus the Misfortune. And now the bans for the second phase. Now this is going to be 2 bans on each side. Red team, of course, is going to take the first ban. They will take Katarina off the table, and you will largely see these focused on the roles that the enemy team has yet to lock in.
Yeah, of course, it seems to be like the logical thing to do,
of course,
to ban those out, but also pools where they aren't shared champions, because if you want to pick mid lane first, Syndra's still on the table. Are they banning out Syndra counters? You have to start to get a read for it very slowly and figure out exactly what they're trying to do. Trying to take off Darshan's top lane carries, because Jason Fiora now off the table. It would put him on something like a Trundle, maybe the Poppy. Those things are more in Darshan's wheelhouse.
Have to see what else Envy decides to do, if they want to continue that focus onto Darshan or maybe change it up a little bit. Remember, their opponents, both teams actually, still have both solo laners left to draft for themselves in the second part of this picking and banning phase. So it's going to be something in the solo lane, and Singed will be the choice from Counter Logic Gaming, removing that one, making it so Seraph can't pick that up in the top lane.
Yeah, but then that also kind of signals to Team Envy that a Maokai might be on the table as a first pickup from Counter Logic Gaming in the second pick phase here, because Singed has been played into Maokai to great success. But yeah, they're the Aurelion Sol. It's very hard to figure out what it is. It's like, what is that champion facing the other direction?
Because the picture's backwards. I know, the turnaround pictures, they're so cool the way they face each other towards the center, like they're actually squaring off, but then when they're banned,
yeah, they face them.
It tricks you a little bit. Your brain's so used to seeing him turned one way, but now he's going to be turned the other way. He's going to be kept out of the game. Do not want to allow Huhi onto that comfort pick. As the Maokai you were talking about, it's been so popular worldwide across this opening bit of Spring 2017, and Stixxay is going to be picking it up for Darshan.
Yeah, the Aurelion Sol ban came out at Huhi instead of a Maokai ban, which was signaled and kind of queued up by the fact that there was a Singed ban from Counter Logic Gaming. Corki mid, very popular right now and actually quite good. One of the best things about the Corki mid is you get to take Exhaust and you don't feel bad about it because he doesn't need Ghost like most other mid laners to have that extra mobility because he has the Valkyrie and he has the package, so he basically has a teleport to join his team every few minutes, so he doesn't have to bring TP to the mid lane. So you have 2 exhausts when you run a Corki in the mid.
Hakuho going to go ahead and pick up that Nautilus to deal with the Maokai in the top part of the map. Seraph, of course, going to be the one piloting that. And the Corki middle, this is worth noting as well. This is the champion that FlyQuest played both games yesterday when they took Team EnVy down. Aphromoo going to be looking over that last possible pick for the side of CLG. They got to find whatever it's going to be for Huhi, and the choice is mid lane Ekko.
Ekko for the mid lane. He gets to bring teleport. He gets to become a split pusher in the mid game, and then this becomes what I like to call a mullet composition, where the Maokai and the Olaf, the Maokai and Olaf and the MF will take care of business in the front, and then Ekko's going to try to have a party in the back line. So his ideal team fight is coming from a split push position and flanking them.
And you almost have to find some kind of a flank as Ekko, right? It's so hard to set up all of his damage. You need the element of surprise.
Exactly. So if he can end up having that and have a 1-3-1 with the team, could be a good game for Counterlogic Gaming as they have a decent amount of engage, but they also have to worry about the early game of the Rengar and a little bit of that Corki too, because he's able to catch people out, do a lot of damage with Thunder Lords, and the fact that he has the Gatling gun to just chunk people out. And the bottom lane. It's actually quite a good bottom lane here for both teams, but it is a winning matchup for CLG. They had 2 of them yesterday. They lost both times. Can they actually win with a winning matchup here?
And that's what we're looking at for not just CLG, but EnVy as well. Yesterday, game number 2, they looked so strong at the beginning, and then as things went on, they kind of lost their grip on the game. They lost the hold that they appeared to have. And both of these teams are not just looking for that playmaking capability, they're looking for consistency from the beginning of the game till the Nexus explodes.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of teams struggle to actually close out games and then have it slingshot and rubber band back onto them, so it ends up being a game that they lose. And both of these teams actually fell victim to that yesterday in their second games of the day.
Something that they definitely want to remedy right here, right now, set a good pace for the rest of the season going onwards. Again, we mentioned it earlier, have that 1-1 record coming out of game number 1. We're going to be launching into Summoner's Rift right now to see exactly how it all goes down. Ladies and gentlemen, EnVy versus CLG, it's game number 1, and we are jumping right into it.
We have a kawaii CLG in the audience.
Yeah!
So he's got some fan signs. I love him. I love him.
You gotta love the passion that people have for some of these huge team fan bases, man. The TSMs, the C9s, the CLGs, these teams that just have so many fans cheering for them. It's a lot of fun to be a part of these games.
Yeah. Got to apologize a little bit too, because saying kawaii CLG kind of implies that they aren't already kawaii. So
that's true.
We have CLG clones.
You got to give kawaii
there
respect where kawaii respect is due. Absolutely true.
All right, we're going to start outing ourselves as weebs real quick.
Yeah, just go ahead and just tuck that under the rug. Not worry about that one too much. Hakuho going to be soaking some damage real early here, but he's already next to the turret. No real danger.
Yeah, it's good though, because now Zyra doesn't get to set up in the middle of the lane. She loves to push up, set up a bunch of seeds by sitting around with her passive, and then getting an early wave advantage and shove here. If they keep interrupting the back, then it just ends up being even worse here. And yep.
There it is again.
More gold.
Make It Rain going to be coming down, putting some gold in the coffers of Aphromoo, keeping Hakuho hanging around in this bottom lane, and you can tell he's not really intending to go back any longer. Minions are going to be spawning momentarily. He already popped a potion, so he's settling in.
Already using a potion is a large advantage here in a lane that's already at a big disadvantage for EnVy. So CLG, they had the winning lanes. They got punished yesterday for it. Can they actually win this time? Already said it once, but it's definitely something we're trying to keep track of here, because Aphromoo and Stixxay were in the running for best bottom lane coming into 2017, especially with Doublelift stepping back. But Piglet and Matt have stepped up, so there are some questions here. Can this bottom lane still compete? Are they still at that top level?
Yeah, a lot of people were expecting so much out of these two. Then yesterday was kind of a fumble for them with those winning matchups that ultimately didn't end up winning the lane. And on a similar note, both of these top laners this time around, Darshan and Seraph, they've both got a lot to prove now too, especially with all the new talent coming into North America.
Yeah, oh yeah. The fact that there's so much import talent as well, like you said, and some North American top laners stepping up too, like Lorlo's kind of gone under the radar, but he seems to be stepping up, and these guys have both taken steps back towards the end of their seasons. We remember Seraph getting solo killed by Impact multiple times, starting the top dive game. And then Darshan, well, didn't really have the greatest performances at MSI, and then the summer split was a little bit more of the same.
Yeah, top lane's kind of just going to be an example of the overall statement of this entire game, where it's all about making that statement, making that impression, setting yourself up as somebody that's got to be respected. There's Apollo soaking some damage
So right here,
bottom lane too.
Sorry, right here, Xmithie, because of the ward that Huhi had put down previously, because he got the shove up, Ninja, half HP, doesn't really know how to jungle too well, and he's low.
Oh, it's not going to be a good one. He takes the plant the wrong way!
Or is that the right way?
Backwards. He has to blow the flash. Either way, he's going to get himself out alive, but that was so close.
Oh, we actually made a change so that happens. Because Rengar and Hecarim, when they would hit the plant, they would actually like charge through it. If you had Hecarim's E on, you would charge to the other side and get knocked over it the other way. So now if you hit it with the Rengar leap or the Hecarim E, you actually go back the way that you hit it from. Because some people would hit the blast cone with a leap from the side they really wanted to go, and then it would just hit them the other way. So it kind of sucked for him. But hey, Huhi, he's got the shove on. He's got priority in his lane. Now he gets to roam.
Now he's trying to make some kind of a play here in the top part of the map. It's going to be Seraph having to run away from this one. Huhi's got a lot of damage on top of him. Seraph with the flash available to get away. Alex Each going to be coming in. Exhaust is used. A little bit more damage on either side would do it, but both are going to be walking away.
Yep, and that's going to be the exhaust from Alex in exchange for the flash there. And Seraph didn't have to flash himself. Even though he was beating up Darshan in that lane, he was way too far forward. Huhi gets a little bit of a punish roam there, but good by Alex to match.
Alex making sure that he's not allowing his opponent to get out there, out-rotate him, outdo him early on, keeping that top lane nice and safe and protected as Huhi continues to play as aggressively as he can there in the mid lane. Meanwhile, bottom side, Hakuho going to be finding some lockdown onto Aphromoo, finally getting a little bit aggressive back into this CLG bottom lane that's been keeping EnVy shoved up for so long.
Yeah, and they'll just keep trying to push them in. Hakuho out of mana, so Aphromoo can just keep throwing down the make it rain, get extra damage on him, make the Thunderlords go off, and push him out slowly but surely. I want to talk about Huhi a little bit because he's been rather good so far in these first few minutes. His roam was right on time. It was really good to use the priority from the lane. Also, he got to TP back to lane, use that as an advantage where he can pick up some items and some potions, not have to back, and have more combat stats. Then, on top of that, the fact that he went in and warded at level 2 because he had lane priority by shoving in and knowing the matchup, that gave the advantage here for Xmithie, and he may get a kill.
Speaking of going in and knowing the matchup, Xmithie again going to be forcing Ninja away. That last axe isn't going to be finding its mark, but Xmithie is just not willing to allow Ninja any breathing room.
Yeah, Xmithie walking right out, and Huhi playing to that side so he does have the coverage and makes sure that doesn't follow him. Ward comes down. Ninja really wants to farm his jungle as Rengar. He wants to get to level 6 here. It's going to take him a while, especially with all this attention from Xmithie. And it's the fact that the mid lane is lost in a sense, quote unquote. Like it's not lost in the sense of, you know, oh, Alex Each is really losing lane. It's just that Huhi has priority, so he gets to shove the wave faster, be healthier in it, and then he gets to do what he wants by playing to the left side when he has Xmithie on the left and protect him, or place wards in the jungle to track the Rengar better. So because Huhi has control of the mid lane, we're seeing Xmithie be able to make these types of moves.
And this is a lot of abuse of the weakness of EnVy here in week number 1. The fact that they're having to play with this substituted roster. We saw FlyQuest doing it yesterday, constantly warding in the jungle, harassing Ninja, giving him as much trouble as humanly possible. And CLG is doing the same thing, just finding every advantage they can and pushing it.
I was talking to one of our translators, and she was telling me that Ninja said he hates the jungle. He's like, I hate it. Just want to go back to mid lane. This really sucks. It's no fun. Everybody's picking on me. And that's very true. Because when you're a jungler, it's definitely a team role where people have to help out, whereas before it was jungler helps the lanes. Now you really have to help the jungler, but he can take over the game if you do give him the appropriate assistance.
We see so many players invading and warding and counter jungling and stealing away buffs and things along those lines. If you're not in tune with the jungler and the jungler is not in tune with the rest of the team, a lot of breakdown very quickly. Ninja's still going to be farming up as fast as he can. Got those Ionian Boots of Lucidity up and running for a little bit of extra cooldown reduction, while Xmithie's going to be following the same build path, making him that much more scary once he gets on top of you.
Yeah, and right there you can kind of see how Ninja isn't completely familiar with the jungle. He used Smite on almost a full HP Krug there. He wasn't low HP either, so it wasn't very helpful for him to smite it. And it wasn't like he had an extra charge there, because you want to keep a lot of your smites for when you're low or when you're counter jungling. Because when you're counter jungling, the smite is actually more important than when you're doing your own camps.
Right, because then you can make sure that you steal the camp away. You've actually got the secure power. Huhi going to be jumping back into this wave again, clearing it out as quickly as possible. Alex Each just farming up the cannon minion. Not really a lot that he can do for the time being. Looks like he's got that Null Magic Mantle in the inventory. Probably going to be seeing that early Hex Drinker to deal with what Huhi's bringing to the table.
We've seen so many different builds from Corki's. The Hex Drinker, we've seen the Gunblade, which is actually very effective. And then we've also seen the Trinity Force on top of it.
Xmithie working his way down into the bottom part of the map, going to be clearing out one of these wards thanks to throwing down a control ward. Huhi's hanging around as well. CLG wants to set up some kind of a play here if they can. Going to be forcing this wave into the tier 1. Hakuho and Apollo recognizing there's some danger here, backing up for now.
Yeah, got to be careful. AlexEach is backing. He's going to pick up the package and then roam towards the bottom lane. So they're going to hear the sound go off and know pretty much he's coming straight bot.
Absolutely. A very nice binding coming out from Hakuho as well. Going to be binding Xmithie up at the very end of that turret range. Means he takes a couple of extra shots for free, puts him at a spot that he doesn't really want to be in. Going to have to get back and heal up before he can really do anything of any real value or measure on this Olaf. Still no level 6 available for him. Level 6 is up and running now on Ninja. Going to be 1v1 here in mid lane. AlexEach losing about half HP as Huhi chrono breaks right back on top of him. Not going to go for the kill afterwards, but he puts his opponent in a really tight spot.
Yeah, not 100% sure where the Rengar is at the moment. Pinging that to be off on the right side there. And so Huhi, he does play it safe, especially since the Corki has the package, so he can escape pretty much no matter what happens. And he's just waiting for it to time out.
Lucky for Alex, he's got that corrupting potion. He's going to be healing up right back to close to full pretty rapidly. Ninja still farming up for now, going to be securing those raptors for himself. Still no use of the ultimate. Hopefully he can find some way to make some sort of a play for his team here very soon. The gold for this game is dead even right now. Neither side really building themselves up an advantage through this passive, farm-intensive style of play just yet.
It's just been back and forth here, and like you said, nobody's really gained so much of a CS advantage. It's that bottom lane, which you would expect with the matchup. So really good on them. And Huhi actually gets pulled over the wall there. It's not ideal for him.
Huhi going to be forced to pop the flash, getting away from the roots coming at him from Hakuho, who made the rotation up. Was just over the wall, ready to provide that lockdown. AlexEach, of course, going to spin the exhaust there as well.
Yeah, Aphromoo was waiting off on the wings. He doesn't have level 6 yet, so he couldn't follow up with a bullet time. But if there was a stun from Huhi, Aphromoo would definitely throw down the E on top of it, and it may be AlexEach having to blow a little bit more than just the exhaust to get away.
Ninja, this time, the jungler in the bottom lane hanging around. Doesn't know he's on top of a ward, though, so not likely going to be finding a lot of success off of this one. The ward is going to be swept away now. They realize there was a little bit of an issue with that, as Stixxay and Aphromoo still seeming plenty comfortable in this bottom lane where they've already found themselves a 20 CS lead just 10 minutes in.
It's really, really good for this bottom lane here, and Aphromoo has been causing a ton of pressure here. They have the arrow up as well. Now Seraph, Darshan back and forth here.
Full-on fight between these top laners, the tank war. Huhi going to be chrono breaking out as Ninja makes his way towards mid lane. Huhi recognizes the danger and immediately bails.
Yeah, but of course now it's going to show that the closest person to the Rengar is actually Darshan. So what Ninja's doing is he's running around saying, okay, wherever my ultimate snaps to, because it'll actually reveal the closest person to Rengar pretty much regardless of range. He's running around the jungle saying there's no Olaf on the top side. Bottom lane needs to watch out now because Olaf is definitely on that side of the map. So now they're going to start traveling down there. AlexEach will now rotate as well. And the Rengar was mostly scouting.
Even though the ultimate didn't end up getting any kills for the side of Envy, the information that they were able to acquire from it ultimately does prove very useful. As Huhi, again, going to be making some kind of a move here in mid lane, this time onto Ninja. Doesn't find the second half of the Time Winder. Still looking to make some kind of a move. It's Darshan trying to find the twisted advance onto AlexEach. Going to be deep behind enemy lines. Still looking to make more happen, but it's 3v1. In comes Xmithie. Darshan still tanking. Into the back line for first blood. Takes down Ninja. Now they're looking to grab even more. Xmithie first it away. Bullet time over the wall. Will not find Alex. Stixxay's got to be careful now too. Seraph looking to find the play onto him. Hakuho exhausted. More damage poured into the Envy line. Gonna be Alex exploded. Apollo into the fight. Looking to find the damage onto Stixxay. 3 dead on each side. As Huhi gets himself out. What a bloodbath.
Absolute bloodbath, like you were saying, is exactly the word that I would use to describe that, because that was so back and forth. Alex was already low at the start. Ninja made a really smooth move to use the Q for the extra distance to get outside of the stun that Huhi was trying to put down at the very beginning here. Ninja comes out, then the Q gets him right out of range there, and then he walks all the way around. But right here, Darshan actually spends an extra second, because he has flash. He could flash root Ninja, he could flash root Alex a little bit sooner than that, but it took him an extra second, and now everybody has to walk around because the minion wave is gone. And there, Ninja's trying to figure out what he wants to do. Darshan then flashes in and uses it there, and then they all get clumped up. Here comes Hakuho, gets Aphromoo, has to flash away there, and then Seraph gets the slow on Stixxay, so now they have to re-engage and continue this, whereas the exhaust goes down. And this is just everybody trying to roam up and get there a little bit sooner, so Apollo shows up a little bit late, but it's right in time to clean up. And then they just go 3 for 3, so still even. But all these summoner spells are down, so which jungler is going to take advantage of this? Because Ninja, as a Rengar, it's very easy to jump on top of an Ashe or a Misfortune. Like, that's the thing with Misfortune support. Sure, she'll counter Zyra in lane, but if she doesn't get enough of an advantage, tell me that's not the easiest gank of your life.
Oh, it's so incredibly simple to take down the Misfortune if she's not in a very good spot, if her team's not in a good spot, especially when you got stuff like Rengar on the team, like the CC of a Nautilus too. But CLG looking like they're going to be finding first turret right here, finally taking a decent advantage for themselves, going to bring them up 1,000 gold. So even if a gigantic team fight at 10 minutes into the game doesn't give you a gold difference, the objective game will.
Exactly, and they had a little bit more tempo in the bottom lane. And Ninja,
oh, this is not good news for him. Arrow's going to be finding its mark. A little bit more damage from Xmithie. Seals the deal. Aphromoo going to be taking the credit for that one. His first one of the game is CLG. Gets their murder and gets away with it. Do the crime, sometimes you don't have to do the time.
A little bit more damage coming in through here.
Xmithie getting himself out of that Strangle Thorns just in time. Smites away the enemy camp as well. That's what you were talking about, right? You save the smite for the counter jungle, you secure the camp, you get the gold.
Yep, also get that HP there too. He got about 200 back, so it's very helpful for him. Possibly puts a dragon on the table. They'll hand off the blue buff here to Huhi, and there's a package right now for AlexEach that he has picked up, and he's sitting with in the mid lane, so they have to be a little bit wary for CLG for the next minute.
Playing with those packages and around those packages, very important for Corki players, obviously. It's only available every 5 minutes, so making the best of that could be the difference in EnVy's playmaking or not playmaking ability.
Fun fact, when you're playing alongside a Corki, when everybody has like those little champion portraits in-game, the ultimate cooldown, you know, the green dot, it actually shows his package timer.
That's actually really cool. It's a lot better than knowing the timer for the Corki's actual ultimate.
Yeah, Missile Barrage.
Spammable like rocket, right.
Every 2 seconds. So you actually see your ally Corki package timer is really cool.
Yeah, that's incredibly useful information. I'm really glad to know that. As somebody who's never really played a lot of Corki, I didn't realize that that's the way that that would go about working, but AlexEach going to be forced to use that package for not a lot of anything right now, as Xmithie does decide to potentially go for this first Drake here. Going to drag it out of the pit. He's got Stixxay there to help him out. This is going to be the first Drake of the game, obviously. Ocean to provide a little bit of extra sustain to CLG as they continue on down the path to victory in this game. Still up about 1,500 gold.
And now they're getting to the point where they have a really strong bottom lane that they've freed up. Now they can put them in the mid lane, and now they kept their bottom turret intact. So we might see that 1-3-1 start coming online with the double teleports, where Huhi will now play from the sides, look for the flanks, and then Darshan could teleport in for the front line.
Now, we're 16 minutes into the game. We saw a big fight already. We've seen some objectives already. One thing I want to take a look at real quick is the state of the item builds right now. Both top laners have completed that Spirit Visage, first big item number 1. Want to tank up against each other and the enemy mid laners. While in the mid lane, Corki's still working on that Trinity Force. Hex Drinker done beforehand. Ekko's got the Proto Belt for that much more upfront, in-your-face burst as well.
Yeah, the Proto Belt helps him out a lot because it allows him to get to his W a little bit sooner than you would expect, and it catches people off guard where he will Proto Belt into it and also use the E. But hold on, here comes the R.
Ninja, can you find Darshan? Nope. Too dangerous to try to turret dive a Maokai. That is not any kind of a play he wants to be making right now. Instead, just going to be walking himself back. He does have Warrior Enchantment and a challenging Smite, but going underneath a turret is still just way too tall of an order.
Unsure how familiar Ninja is with Rengar. We started playing jungle recently, and also on top of that, banned quite frequently, but hold on, Xmithie caught.
Xmithie gonna be caught out a little bit, bursted down very rapidly. Heal gonna be popped, Stixxay keeping him alive, bullet time in retaliation, Strangle Thorn's gonna be used too. Huhi's got the kill on Apollo, exhaust onto Stixxay. Phosphorus Bomb taking him low, here comes Chrono Break, the damage from Parallel Convergence. Can the stun come in? Chrono Break now gonna be used. Huhi doing the damage he needs to do, 3 dead on the side of EnVy. Seraph gonna be chased down. Huhi's got even more damage. Darshan's there with the lockdown. CLG, 1 for 3.
Beautiful play there as well. Stixxay actually point blank arrows Apollo as Aphromoo is ulting, so Apollo cannot finish the kill, and it allows them to clean up the fight, and they're going to get this mid turret, and the split push will be online after this for CLG.
CLG, they grab turret number 2. They might just grab Seraph as well. I don't know what he's doing, hanging around that long. Not tanky enough to survive at this point in the game. Huhi, again, gonna be cashing in.
Yeah, really good for him. 3-0-0 on this Ekko, so he'll pick up a lot of stacks for his Dark Seal right there. And we also have those kills for Stixxay. Right here, Xmithie checks. It's not a huge deal because he always has the ultimate, but they get a lot out. The exhaust comes down. Right here, it's gonna be ulti. Apollo goes forward, point blank, ultimate into Apollo. He flashed into it, so he can't finish off Aphromoo, and he gets away. And then Stixxay also has the flash available for himself. And the aggressive flash versus the defensive flash from the AD carries there is a huge difference in how much damage comes out in this fight. The survivability that Stixxay had there, and the fact that he was able to save his second AD carry in the lane, second marksman, the support in Aphromoo, made a big difference.
And we were talking in Chip and Champion Select, in picks and bans about this game, like before this started, how yesterday CLG, they drafted winning lanes, but then they didn't win the lane. Is this lane as hyped up as it should be? And right now, with 7 out of 8 kill participation for both players, 3-0 and 4 on Stixxay, these guys are looking great.
Yeah, it's a great counter lane for them. They countered the support there, so Hakuho couldn't do much in the beginning of the game, and then they got attention to take down that bottom turret, which is systematically how you should go through the map as a team that wants to split push, is go towards where your AD carry and support are, free them up, get that turret, go mid, push down that turret, have your Ekko split push, and then when you get into a situation like this, have your Ekko try to 1v1.
Ooh, not quite going to get the parallel convergence. Instead, it's going to be Ninja finding the kill onto Aphromoo in a different part of the map. Ninja, though, killed in response. 1 for 1 in that fight. Hopefully we'll get a replay here in just a second to see how that actually went down, as Xmithie, again, going to be looking to counter jungle whenever he can, stealing away this red buff to keep that off the likes of Ninja or Apollo.
Yeah, you can definitely see the difference in the junglers this game and how much their teams are supporting them, because Ninja, ever since the get-go, has been picked on, had to blow his flash very early on, which stops a lot of Rengar's ability to stack up Flash Bola. But now Stixxay on the roam here, doesn't have the ultimate yet.
Wet noodle fight's not much of a wet noodle fight when somebody actually brings some real damage into the equation. Seraph getting himself back in time, though. Hakuho making the rotation up here. He's going to be bringing Apollo with him. Seraph pushing up, not afraid any longer, and CLG recognizes that and backs themselves away.
Yeah, and it looks like Envy are just trying to counter what CLG are doing, where they want to start getting their split push on with Huhi in the bottom lane and Maokai in the top lane, but now they're going to start putting their AD carry support up top to try and get that turret as well. Aphromoo does get caught out there. It's a good jump on by Ninja, but then just so much damage from Xmithie on that Olaf. Able to actually pop the ultimate to avoid the CC and deal a little bit extra damage when he pops it.
And just right now on your screen, you're seeing it pop up in a nice highlight down there at the bottom part of the scoreboard. The Lich Bane purchased for Huhi. You thought this guy hurt earlier with just the Proto Belt? Look at him now. Those attacks are going to be so impactful that you really got to respect where you are if you're Alex Each, Apollo, and Hakuho, and watch those flanks.
Yeah, but you also have to watch out if you're the person who's up against him in the bottom lane here, which is most likely going to be Alex Each, who has to just keep bashing his head against this Ekko, who is ahead of him, has more gold, has more kills, a little bit more experience. So the exhaust from Alex, I mean, it's not an infinite cooldown, right? He has to use it wisely whenever he goes up against Huhi in the bot lane, but the Lich Bane will help him shred those turrets. It's a big part of it.
TP gonna be used here. CLG wants to fight. Huhi gonna be making some kind of a move. There comes your parallel convergence. Gonna be grabbing the shield, but he's stuck in the middle of the fight. Ninja's gonna be bursted down very rapidly. Huhi on a rampage, now looking to chase down even further. Alex Each, gotta be careful. Huhi runs him down. Xmithie gonna be grabbing the kill. Seraph off, alone, running from the CLG roster, chasing him down. Tries to Spider-Man his way out of the trouble, gonna be finding the line onto one wall, but is it gonna be enough? Yes, it will. CLG, though, still gonna be taking 2 for nothing.
And Xmithie's gonna take a camp on the way out there, and Seraph wants to get a little bit of that gold back, but there's the smite from Xmithie, and that last little wolf gonna pick that one up too as they back off and look towards that Cloud Drake.
You know you're feeling comfortable when you take the fight, and on the way out, you say, you know what? I like those wolves. I think I'm going to put those into my belt as well. Grab those on the way out. Drake number 2, up and running, but not for long. CLG, like you just said, going to be grabbing that one. Cloud is the name this time around, so going to be giving them some extra movement speed, and the fans have spoken. 73% of people believe CLG is going to be walking away victorious when the dust settles.
Pretty good analysts out there as well, gotta say. Hashtag CLG win seems to be winning at the moment, like you said. Envy, things don't look too great for them in terms of their roster, but in this game, it hasn't been Very favorable for them. And yeah, right there, hold on. Speaking of not favorable,
Huhi trying to jump onto Apollo, going to be bursting him low, has to chrono break back out. ALEKS each putting some damage onto him at the back end of the fight, but can't quite find anything. Look at how comfortable Huhi feels right now, though, being able to say, I want to pull the trigger on a play like this.
Yeah, and then being able to just chrono break out of there. And that's exactly what I was talking about in Champions League, where I called it a mullet composition, because he has the TP flank. Maokai is sure just hitting people up in the front, and they're just going through the front line. But then Huhi's trying to take care of the carries. He's trying to get onto ALEKS each. He's trying to deal with Apollo. There's a lot of squishy members on this team, and if they can keep Seraph busy from the side of the rest of everybody on CLG, Huhi can take care of business.
Yeah, Seraph's really the only person that's hard to kill on the EnVy roster. Everybody else, pretty vulnerable, I guess is the word that I'm looking for here. You can see Ninja starting to get a little bit tankier on the Rengar now. Looks like he's going to be going for Dead Man's Plate as item number 2, giving him a little bit of extra that mobility, the potential to jump on somebody, slow them down, have that extra initiation tool. But when you're up against a fed duo of carries between Huhi and Stixxay on the side of CLG, a Dead Man's Plate alone is not going to do the job. Not when you're 5,000 gold behind.
Oh, absolutely. Like you said, there's also mixed damage here with the magic damage coming through from Huhi. He's going to have to build a little bit more than that, because now he's still squishy to that Ekko. That Ekko does not really consider him a threat. And now, swapped it up. They have their teleport on the bottom side of the map. And so now CLG will play between top and mid and have that Maokai play on that bottom side, because he has a TP up and Huhi does not.
Keep in mind, we're also now 24 minutes into the game, so Baron is up and available should a team find a great opportunity to take that. CLG hanging around that part of the map right now. You can see a lot of wards being placed down by this team in the top part of the EnVy jungle, preparing just in case as Huhi grabs turret number 3.
Yep, Huhi also level 15. ALEKS each still been 13 for quite a while here, so Huhi is just shot up so far in terms of how much of a lead he has. Ton of CS, also picked up a lot of kills for himself here, and it's the assassin, right? He's got the Lich Bane to deal with the turrets, but it's also going to be dealing a ton of damage to all of these squishy members.
CLG again pushing up into enemy territory, stealing away whatever resources they can find, throwing down a line of vision as they go through, continuing to choke EnVy out of more and more of the map, claiming more and more territory for themselves. ALEKS each going to be jumped on, but Valkyrie's away to safety. That's a mobility you were talking about.
Yep. Huhi ease off onto ALEKS each and then proto belts into the parallel convergence to try and get the stun. So it's a little bit extra movement so that he can juke people out. Hold on, trying to make a pick here on EnVy's side.
Aphromoo going to be exploded. Apollo going to be grabbing the kill credit for it, but it's Ninja and Seraph who set the play up. Xmithie rotates over along with Huhi to make sure that EnVy can't find anything else off the back of a play, but a nice clean pickup for EnVy's side.
Really clean there. Of course, Seraph not getting the hook, but they still blow a few ultimates to do so and pick up Aphromoo, who doesn't get to use his flash or his exhaust. Just too much damage too quickly.
Darshan hanging around in bottom lane. Seraph's going to see him backing away. Manages to interrupt it with that anchor over the head at the very last second. Goes ahead and taunts him up as well. You got to let him know that you were being cheeky just on purpose about that one as Darshan backs himself up. Yeah. Tries to get to a little bit safer of a spot. Now he might be the one interrupting Seraph.
Yeah, and when we talk about like advantages in this mid lane and top lane, I mean, Seraph is actually doing really well. Seraph is up almost 60 CS. He's at 52 up over Darshan, and Darshan hasn't been having that great of a split so far. It's only been 2 games, so maybe it's just rust, but they've been banning him out. He's been pulling bans, so he's been doing some work in pick ban where people are taking Jace away from him, taking Fiora away from him, so he is providing a lot to the team in terms of those being taken off the table and frees up everybody else. But on these tanks, he's helpful, but he's not dominating lane.
One thing I want to go ahead and point out now as well about the itemization of Darshan. Going to pick up that Sunfire Cape as item number 2. He has the Glacial Shroud in his inventory, but we have recently been seeing this sort of a shift from Maokai's into prioritizing Frozen Heart instead of the Cape.
Yeah, Frozen Heart is something that people were split about 50-50 on previously versus the Iceborne Gauntlet, and now people just go Frozen Heart, especially against a team that has a Rengar, and then you have 2 AD carries on this enemy team.
TP used by Seraph. EnVy wants to collapse onto CLG here if they can. Darshan can make a TP in the fight if given an opportunity. Stixxay is going to be forced to flash away. Huhi looking to do anything he can. ALEKS each into the back line. Stixxay destroyed. Aphromoo going to be melted out too. Huhi exhausted, unstoppable.
unstoppable though. Grab the kill onto Hakuho. Ninja into the backline. Darshan now alone. EnVy doing everything they can. Gonna be burning this guy away. It's slow, but it's there. Darshan gonna be falling too. And that is 4 for 1. EnVy grabbing the play.
And they could grab the Baron right here if they all start going towards it. So Xmithie is trying to cause pressure in the mid, saying, you will trade me this mid tier 2 if you want to do Baron. And now Xmithie's still up, doesn't have the Ragnarok available. Teleport for Huhi. He's up in 25 seconds. If EnVy can do this really quickly, they'll be able to pick it up. But they have to watch out, because this is an Olaf still. He could throw axes, do a little bit of damage, but it would be suicide for Xmithie. Ninja's quite low. Ninja's super low.
Ninja might just get himself killed. One more auto attack from Baron will kill him. Baron taken very, very close to death. It's going to be secured. Ninja going to go ahead and grab it. Xmithie going to be killed too. They grab the Baron. They get an extra freebie. And all of the sudden, Zirene EnVy is right back in this game.
And these are the teleport plays that Seraph was making previously when he was in Challenger and at the start of the summer split for EnVy. TP's in, uses the ultimate on the Stixxay, who flashes away with it on him. It's a little bit too late there, so it knocks up Huhi, it knocks up Aphromoo, and it hits Stixxay on top of it. So the engage was perfect, and then the follow-up burst. Ninja doesn't give a damn about the exhaust. He goes straight through it as that Rengar. Doesn't have too much damage because he has the dead man's plate, but it's still enough to melt AD carries and supports.
And Darshan was just so late getting into that fight. He was stuck 1 versus 4 at the end when it was already over. Tragedy for CLG, reason for celebration for Team EnVy, as now this could go either way. 48.4 to 50.7 thousand gold. Only a 2K difference 30 minutes into the game. Nothing to write home about. Nothing that's going to be breaking the game, as CLG going to be looking for Drake number 3 for themselves. It'll be Cloud Drake number 2, so more out-of-combat movement speed for these guys.
Yeah, Ekko really likes that out-of-combat movement speed for the engagement, but on the other side, EnVy have the Baron, so they have the siege potential. They have the ability to just tank or take down these turrets. And speaking of tankiness, Seraph now has the Guardian Angel and the Trinity Force and Maw both completed for Alex Siege previously, so he has a ton of damage that he can deal to these turrets and actually kill them quite quickly with double AD composition.
That Maw also being very helpful, resisting a lot of that burst that Huhi's going to be looking to do to Alex Siege on this back line. Team EnVy finally, 29.5 minutes into this game, going to be finding their first turret of the match there in mid lane. We'll have to see what else they can do with this Baron, how big of a power play they can get out of it.
They could get quite a lot here since there's outer turrets still up, but Ninja gonna test himself. How much damage can he deal?
Ninja wants to try to go for the 1v1 against Huhi here. Bursts him incredibly low. Huhi gonna be escaping for now. Time Winder buys him enough time to dash himself away, as Xmithie now gonna be caught out in the side. Gonna be forced to pop that Ragnarok, but he's already gone. EnVy grabbing one for free.
Perfect by EnVy. Ninja uses the damage to actually go on an Ekko that's 2 levels up from him. Pushes him out of the lane because now he has that magic resistance and enough armor to tank the turret. Seraph also has enough armor to tank this turret. Actually takes no damage because of his shield. And now they get to push up. They have this Baron buff. It's very hard to clear these waves. It's another problem that Ekko has. Is early game, he'll be able to clear out these minion waves, but he's not that great of a wave clearer, to be quite honest with you guys. He's just kind of crap at that.
And EnVy has now tied the turret count. This game was completely in CLG's court for 20, 28, 29 minutes. And now EnVy has just taken that momentum and completely turned it on its head with that phenomenal team fight top that has now led them to a game that is tied in kills, that is tied in turrets, and most important of all, dead even in gold.
Yep, the only thing that CLG really have are those Drakes for themselves, those 3 Drakes, 2 Cloud. It's not going to do them much good in these fights. Getting into it for Huhi, it's possible it could help him out, but inside of it, it's doing absolutely nothing for these guys. And that's what's mattering right now is these fights. Seraph with the shot calling, able to pull the trigger on that top fight, and Darshan late to it as well. Had the teleport the whole time, but walked his way up there and then TP'd, and was still late and got killed and picked up afterwards, which led to a Baron.
Baron, I think we got the exact power play gold on that this time around, but it was definitely useful, very much so for Team EnVy. They took down 3 different turrets with it. They made it happen. They got what they needed. Now the question is, can they keep it up? Can they actually maintain a foothold in this game against CLG with the Baron dissipated? And it looks like the answer is going to be yes. EnVy finding turret number 4. They're now taking the lead in terms of objectives. Well, team objectives anyway. Neutral objectives with those dragons still in CLG's favor, obviously. But the next Drake that's going to be spawning, that'll be Elder.
They're looking for a pick here. Huhi's sitting in the brush. And yeah, it's so late in the game that Elder would be the next Drake. to be picked up. It won't mean much for EnVy. It'll mean a lot for CLG. It'll help them close the game out. And EnVy are now in the gold lead here by 1,400. Arrow comes out.
Arrow fired off. Not going to be finding anyone just yet. Huhi forced a chrono break immediately. Not going to be having that for this fight. Darshan versus Seraph going to be soaking some damage. Stranglethorn zoning the rest of CLG away. Darshan is tanky, but how long will he last? Stixxay is going to be bound up. Timewinder into the back line. Huhi taken down by Ninja as EnVy gets one.
EnVy, such great usage of their abilities there. Their ultimates, Hakuho, like you said, the Stranglethorn came out, did a really good job, and then Seraph's ultimate as well to the back line helped out immensely. Great target selection there. They went straight through the tank, tried to take down Darshan, and then Huhi, when he dove in, they knew he blew his flash. They chase him down, and they pick him up, and they get that tier 2 as well.
EnVy grabs turret number 5. They get themselves away clean. They're feeling real good about it. They're up 3,000 gold now. Drake is going to be spawning. Elder Dragon, I should say. He's not just a measly Drake anymore. He's going to be spawning in about a minute and a half. Here's the replay of how that fight happened.
Yep. Just watch the usage here. Hakuho, ulti right there to make sure they can't help out. Stixxay can't get close enough. And then the ultimate onto Aphromoo, interrupts bullet time, knocks up Stixxay on top of it, and then Huhi has to go through everybody, doesn't kill Apollo because of the exhaust, and then Ninja gets the follow on it. So perfectly played there from EnVy to choose the right target and who to zone. So great Stranglethorn from Hakuho. It was honestly very beastly of that Zyra.
Frozen Hearts now also up and running on both of these top laners. Going to be slowing down some of that attack speed from everybody on the opposing teams. There's 280 carries on each one of these teams, actually, so the Frozen Hearts going to be doing plenty in terms of slowing that down a little bit. As Team EnVy now has it on them. The control of this game is theirs. They're the ones who are going to be deciding who's doing what, who's going where. They're the ones who have forced CLG onto the back foot. And CLG has got to recover from this. We were talking in Champion Select about how both these teams threw a lead yesterday, about how both these teams seemed like they couldn't close. And right now, CLG is telling the same story again.
Yep, they couldn't close. They had a gold advantage, but then they had it turned around on them. And the advantage that Seraph had over Darshan in the top lane of the 60 CS previously, the 50 CS, ended up meaning a lot because he got to come in a little bit earlier, be tankier, and pull the trigger on that. So Seraph really in the front running right now for player of the game if EnVy do close it out.
Baron live in 10 seconds, Elder Dragon live in 15. Expect to see these teams setting up a lot of vision around the area, pushing out the waves, getting ready and prepared to make sure that they can jump on those if given even a moment of opportunity to do so. A lot of wards placed down by EnVy in this northern part of the map. You can see them setting them up around the back of the Baron pit, around the river itself. Now they're hanging out in this zone. A control ward thrown over the wall by Xmithie. TP is going to be used though. Stixxay and Aphromoo, they're vulnerable. Seraph looking for Stixxay. Parallel convergence comes down. Can they keep him protected? Stranglethorn's going to be used, but it's Aphromoo already dead. Seraph soaking damage, but it's going to be returned right back into him. Focus fire finding so much. Stixxay still alive. GA is going to be popped. Huhi in full retreat, but Alex Each is on the hunt. One more auto attack takes him. Darshan's going to be number 2. One more will get it. There you go, Hakuho. Grabbing the kill for himself. Ninja and the rest of EnVy still alive. 3 dead on CLG.
And Baron
they're going for Baron.
Exactly, Baron on the table here. EnVy will get another Baron and a perfect fight right before it. They keep everybody alive here. Ninja and Seraph, both the GAs end up popping, but they still get to pick up this objective afterward.
What a fight. EnVy, again, coming up with success. Baron being secured, should be no contest here. Locked away for the second time this game.
So I'll talk about it in a second here, but Hakuho did my favorite thing in the world. He put a ward over and hit the blast cone. Best support. Still, Seraph, another perfect flank here. Ulti on the Stixxay, flash to root him, and he's dealing so much damage to Aphromoo just by being there and being near the Nautilus and doing so much AoE damage. And it matters, but on screen, nope, that's gonna go over to CLG.
CLG grabbed themselves the Elder Drake, and remember, they got all 3 basic elemental drakes that occurred in this game. So that Elder Drake buff going to be giving them a very potent true damage burn that may just enable them to be able to win this next team fight.
It's going to be 180 true damage. Every time somebody hits them, burn them over time. So the poke definitely means a lot here, but also the duration of the Elder Dragon will cut into the duration of the Baron, so you can't push that advantage as much as you'd like to if you're Envy, and CLG are just right back into this game off of that.
CLG successfully using that teleport in the top side, keeping a minion alive, making sure that they can grab that extra turret for themselves. It's going to be number 4 going their way to the 6 on the side of Envy. And look at this gold difference versus time graph on the bottom part of your screen. CLG, totally in control. It shrunk around the 28-minute mark like we were talking about. That was that big team fight. And then as that Baron power play continued to grow for Envy, you can just see the gold steadily trend upwards in their favor.
Yep, they had so many turrets that they needed to take once they won that fight. They started getting those outer turrets. They've got all of the outer turrets and those tier 2s. So Envy now have to start going towards inhibitor turrets. They do need to wait out the Elder Dragon, which is halfway done so far.
The Elder Drake buff itself lasts, I believe, 2.5 minutes now? That's the number I believe it was, because I'm pretty sure it was 2 minutes last season. They increased it by 30 seconds, to my knowledge, this season. So still significantly shorter than Baron, which is a 4-minute buff. But CLG looks like they may just be running out of time to get any use out of this. And if you're Envy, you're feeling just fine about that. No real worries about missing an opportunity to fight a team enchanted with that big bad buff. Still a 5,000 gold difference between these sides. It was a 5,000 gold advantage for CLG 10 minutes ago in this game. Now it's a 5,000 gold advantage for Envy. And the question that we have to be asking ourselves is, can they break this inhibitor line with this? Because that's a really difficult proposition to do a lot of the time.
Yeah, it's very difficult. They did take away the lasers on the turrets, so it's a little bit easier, and the movement speed slow from previously. But they have a very tanky frontliner in Seraph, so he can tank a ton of shots, but they do have to take the risk when they're diving if they actually still want to tank it up. They could go for a little bit of a split push, but the composition isn't exactly built for that. They want those double AD carries on top of that turret to just burn it down here. And this is the time where the Elder Dragon is worn off and the Baron buff is still up. So small advantage here for Envy that they get to shove in and have a few waves where CLG are not more powerful than them with the true damage burn.
Very small amount of time left on the Baron Nashor buff. Under 1 minute to go. This is Envy's opportunity to make some kind of a push if they want to. 4-1 split is set up with Ninja in the bottom lane. Everybody else hanging out around mid. The traditional Baron approach to keeping pressure in multiple places at once. Parallel convergence can be used though. Huhi looking for the stun, not gonna be finding it. Seraph peeling back. AlexEach can be taken low, but it's Xmithie who dies first. Seraph forced to flash out defensively. Darshan right in the middle of the fight. Huhi's gonna be looking for more yet still, as CLG can't find any of these kills.
Darshan still has flash, but they don't have a way to re-engage this fight. They got so many summoners out of Envy, and you can look at CLG summoners. They still have most of their flashes intact here. Actually, all of their flashes, considering Xmithie only has a Ghost. And on the other side, most of them used. One of them coming back up for AlexEach, and Hakuho still has his support. So Apollo wide open to get a kill on him, but he does have the QSS to possibly escape in the next one.
Guardian Angel was popped by Xmithie in that fight as well. Got to be very aware of exactly where those Guardian Angel timers stand on everyone in this game. Looks like they should be up and available again for both Seraph and Ninja. So they're each going to have an extra life to use in the next upcoming team fight, despite the fact that those summoners might not be available just yet.
Yeah. And getting saved in these team fights. AlexEach's build, Mob Malmortius definitely helped him out, and the Hextech Gunblade healing him for a ton in that fight. And this is just such a great item for Corki to purchase because he has decent AP ratios on his Q as well as his R, so he just constantly throws out a decent amount of damage with it, but it's just all of the damage that he gets healed for. So Corki's, it always didn't feel that great to just buy lifesteal, because you're like, how much am I really auto-attacking all the time? But now you actually get healed off of your poke. It's a small amount, but it still matters.
Builds are also starting to reach their apex. Very little left to actually complete here, as you've got 4.5 items on both AD carries, 5.5 if you want to count the boots. Well, Blade of the Ruined King still needs to be completed on Stixxay. Mercurial Scimitar still needs to be finished for Apollo. Seraph going to be jumped on by both Huhi and Darshan. He's got Guardian Angel, so he can buy a lot of time. But all of CLG is collapsing onto him. He'll be wasting as much time of these guys as he can. How many spells are they willing to commit to burning him down quickly? The Guardian Angel should fall just momentarily. They grab that for themselves. Ninja going to be popping the ult. Parallel Convergence laid down. Seraph going to be stunned up. Stranglethorns is there. Seraph off first. Ninja into the back line, gonna be killed. He's too far out from the rest of the team. Alex each sidestepping. Apollo gonna be cured of that stun. Huhi grabbing the kill onto Ninja as the rest of EnVy heads for the hill.
Seraph give it, then he take it away. Caught out, split pushing, and decides to run towards his team, run down the lane. It takes him way too long. He wastes his GA, and then he gets picked up on top of it, and then it costs them their other Guardian Angel on Ninja. EnVy, not the right play there to try and help Seraph out, and Seraph getting caught in the first place was really bad.
True tragedy for EnVy. They looked so good for a while, but now CLG is again comfortable in the driving seat. CLG breaks inhibitor turret number 1. They're looking for inhibitor number 1 as well. They've got a 3 versus 5 for the next 15 seconds. They've got their goal, and they're getting out.
Question though, does Seraph TP into flank? They're pinging all over. You can see he's like, Tribrush, I'm coming in on Tribrush. I want to kill these guys. Where's the TP? There's the TP.
They're looking to make a play though in reverse. Alex Neat's gonna be shut down.
Yes,
CLG, they're not willing to be jumped on. The play will not be EnVy's to make. And now it's Seraph who's gonna be tanking this whole thing up. CLG may just be looking to end it right now. Ninja in the ulti, but nowhere to jump just yet. Gonna be turned and burned. The exhaust down, the bullet time out. Stixxay alive. CLG.
Almost everybody on this team is so low. They are so close to death. They played that team fight perfectly. Seraph had to cancel his TP and come back and save the team, but it wasn't enough, and CLG will win.
You can hear the thunder sticks in the audience. You can hear how excited people are to see CLG come back from what looked like almost a throw and take game 1.
CLG back and forth. That was super rocky there. They only win the game with a 500 gold lead, and you know those 2 turrets that they just took to win it there is what gave them that 500 gold lead. Insane. Crazy that they were able to just recognize Seraph wants to TP in. Alex is playing too far forward. They read him like a book. They turn around, even with half HP on people like Stixxay and Aphromoo, and they live through that entire fight, even though they are priority targets. If Seraph is able to TP into the back of that fight, walk up and just even ulti onto Stixxay or Aphromoo, one or both of them are dead at that point, and that just becomes a completely different game. So CLG on a razor's edge, back and forth game, but they take it.
And we actually have a replay right now of the 17-minute fight, the 4-for-1 that CLG got near Dragon.
There's a good setup here as well, where Huhi is trying to come in, but hey, that's us. So
that's us.
That
right.
replay?
The replay will be there in just a moment.
Yeah, Ekko, frozen in time, unlucky. But
that's kind of what he does though, right? That's his theme.
Yeah, but there was a really good flank from him where he TPs in and then he ends up killing the backline. It was a great great example of how you want to play that composition with Ekko, is he wants to split push, then he wants to TP into the fight, and then just threaten the backliners, threaten the squishies. They played out to that. Then when they lost control on CLG's side, they weren't able to make the same TP plays because he didn't have priority in the bottom lane, and then everybody was pushing and grouping up. So the question was, can the Ekko push faster than a Varus with attack speed and damage items and a Corki with Trinity Force? The answer is no, so he'd lose more. So he stops doing it, and then we don't see much more of that split pushing for the rest of the game.
It was such a roller coaster of a match overall. CLG ahead for so long, it goes right back into EnVy's ballpark. Seraph gets caught out right back into CLG, into one of the most explosive game-ending team fights that you could have asked for. And here's one of those replays right now.
Now this is where they catch out Xmithie, but it's not really a catch. He goes backwards. Stixxay gets the arrow. This is what I love here, is Apollo flashes forward. That would have hit Alex, and then Apollo would have been a little bit safer. And the damage may have been enough to actually finish off Aphromoo there, especially if they had the Varus arrows still available. And then Seraph comes in late. And then CLG pick him up as well. So yeah, the 4-for-1 really set up CLG in the early game to just execute on their composition, get their split push going, and they had already taken the bottom turret off of great rotation and a great power play that they made with their mid laner and their jungler, and then they rotated to mid to eventually pick up this turret. Then it was the engage where they pick up Seraph afterwards. Like, what's he doing sticking around?
Just wanted to hang around a little bit too long, trying to keep that turret okay. And that was, of course, the start of when CLG was looking so strong up until the Baron fight that happened later on in that game. The next replay we're going to be taking a look at for you guys is the one that happened at about 42 minutes in bottom lane. And before we get to it, though, I want to kind of talk about where that was, because at that point in the game, Seraph and the rest of EnVy were looking like they were on a real momentum swing, right? Like they were in control for so long, but then all of a sudden Seraph's out of position.
Yeah, Seraph was doing such a great job the entire game, up 52 CS at one point, and then able to make some really hero plays for EnVy, where you're talking about they got the Baron afterwards. It was because of his ultimate and his flank, and when he was able to take out Stixxay and Aphromoo in those fights. But this one was one where he was just getting caught out alone, and it cost both of their Guardian Angels, put really long death timers on the Rengar and the Nautilus, to the point that he tries to make a TP play afterwards, but it's just too late at that point, and the team just of CLG turns around on EnVy and take them out. So really, don't know why Seraph was there. We'll have to look at it again and kind of investigate and do some, autopsy on that play and be like, how exactly did that happen? Because if he runs to the left, he gets caught by Maokai Misfortune. So he starts running to the right and just buying time. And then everybody on EnVy, Alex is like, let's push up mid. They don't have the minion wave. You can see it would have taken them way too long because they definitely don't have a minion wave there. This is a big catch here from EnVy, and Seraph was just out too far, to the point that CLG was able to just have the whole team wrap around and catch him off. Crazy how they were able to execute on that. And EnVy, a little lapse in vision there and a lapse in judgment from Seraph to push up, because they didn't have any objectives on the top part of the map to actually fight for or get, or minion waves to actually push.
By the time Ninja dove in, he was alone, staring down the barrel of 4 different CLG members, having to deal with that himself. And the post-game breakdown, a 44-minute match. You didn't know which way it was going to end until the very last fight had finally settled. 2-for-0 on the Baron count for EnVy. CLG, though, ultimately the team that walks away with the win for themselves. A lot of damage being dealt by all the carries this time around.
Yeah, and the gold difference over time graph, there's like that very, very end there. It looks like it's up for EnVy, but it actually just ends with CLG up about 500 gold. So really, really close game the entire time, back and forth. And we saw a lot of misplays there. And the two teams are not playing very cleanly right now, but it did look much closer than you would expect for CLG having their full roster, and EnVy playing with a sub in the jungle who was punished very highly in the beginning of the game.
We'll have to see what kind of changes they make for game number 2. But for now, we're going to take a quick break while the teams talk strategy for that second.